Hello and welcome to my yellow corner. We will be here for the remainder of my mini-series Adoption Chronicles with Avia, and throughout this series we will be meeting some very special guests discussing adoption. Now during this time it's really hard to think of ways you can actually be proactive and inhibit change, because I'm one of those people that always likes to be going, and obviously we are sitting. But I discovered that one of the biggest things you can do during this time is to educate ourselves. So this entire series will be about debunking myths, speaking with our special guests, and answering your questions. So make sure you drop them down in the comments section and we will get right to the video. Now, for today, I'm very excited for this special guest. She is amazing. I met her through the pageant world, and she'll be discussing foster care with us today and how we can get involved during this time, and essentially just explaining the processes and all of the above. So I'm so excited, guys. This is our first episode. Please stick with me. I'm completely new to this. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Destiny. I live in Kennesaw, Georgia, and I'm excited to start this series.
Yay! Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to have you.
Yes, I'm excited too.
Today's theme is foster care adoption. Would you like to give all of our viewers just a review synopsis of what it is, how it works?
I wasn't in the foster care system, however, I know a lot of people in it, and I've been definitely immersed in it because of my adoption story. I was adopted from China, and from that, I discovered the foster care system because I realized that international adoption isn't the option for everyone. So a great option to adopt is through the foster care system. So what is the foster care system? The goal is to actually reunify families and connect children with their parents who work to make themselves better, because mostly children are entered in the foster care system due to neglect, parent drug use, parents' inability to cope, and physical abuse. Actually, 61% of the children who enter the foster care system are neglected. So that doesn't mean that their parents are drug addicts, they are unable to take care of their children, but it's just that they are usually not in the right state to be a parent at that time. So what we try to do in the foster care system is to take the child and take care of it while the parent is in rehabilitation to become a better parent. So it is true, however, that some of these parents are drug addicts and are going through a rough time in their life, but I believe in rehabilitation and anybody can change. So the foster care system is really meant to help those parents out and to help the children go through the process of reunifying their family.
And one of the points that you brought up too is about the child. I feel myths out there are saying, oh, foster care children are more aggressive than normal children. They aren't safe to be around. How exactly can we debunk this myth right here, right now?
Well, that is definitely not true, because a foster child is like any other child because they are not defined by the situation, but they're actually just a unique child that is open to adoption as well. We also have to think of them as they've gone through a lot. So they have had these difficult experiences, but they are a normal kid. They may have gone through many homes, many other experiences that we haven't, but that just means that they're probably more mature and probably more understanding and more perceptive on other people's experiences than we are. So it's not the way to think of a foster child as a different than any other child. A quote that I really loved: they are just ordinary kids who went through extraordinary challenges. So that's really not, the foster care situation is not defining who they are, because they are just regular kids.
And I completely agree. If anything, it makes them even more resilient to any circumstance and props to all the foster care children out there. We send our love during this time. What can we do to help the foster care system during this quarantine time?
The foster care system is definitely a place to look forward to adopt. Not only can you adopt, but you can also help out by donating, mentoring, and all these other opportunities that I hope to speak about later. Currently, I've been reaching out with my local representatives, but it's all based on where you live because in Georgia, right now, what we need is donation drives. What we need is actual supplies to be given to the foster care system because they are running out because they have so many children in the system right now that may have not been even placed in a home. So right now, social workers are trying to balance out how are we taking care of them. So in Georgia specifically, they are needing supplies, so like toilet paper, toiletries, blankets, anything like that. But it's really all about if you contact your local representative because sometimes we can just help by even spreading social awareness like this because knowing about it because this time brings up so many issues that we need to face. So it's important to see that foster care is an issue in the US that we need to fix. And talking about it is helping out the foster care system because it definitely breaks that stigma.
Especially during this time, it's we're all sitting here doing nothing, and that's kind of the reason why I started this series is because you can sit down, do some research, watch videos like this here with a variety of viewpoints from different people discussing what it is and just clearing up all of the mishaps and misconceptions there are. So that's what we're doing here today. So to everyone that's watching, good job. Thumbs up to you. Um, but let's talk about costs of foster care adoption. I don't know about your state, but I was talking to a Pennsylvania organization and they said foster care adoption is almost technically free because the biggest fee that you have to pay is for the home study. But there are a lot of organizations. So what is it like for you?
So there are a lot of organizations, including the Adopt US. There's also local organizations like with your local DFACs, so you can go through that. Most of them are through the state and the US organization, so you can go to your local representative through DFACs and your social workers, and they can find a child with you for you. Talking about home studies, a home study is actually to define it when you want to do a foster to adopt situation. So you take a child who is in the process of having their rights terminated by their parents, therefore being legally free from their parents to be adopted. And the home study does take a long time because it is a challenging process for the child to go back and forth from caseworkers and also courts because they're trying to be legally free from their parents and also adapt to a new situation and a new family.
Mhm. And speaking of that too, when you are adopted, a lot of adoptive families fear that movie scenario where the birth parent comes back and wants their child. But obviously, that's not legally right. Would you like to explain a little bit more on that?
Yes, so talking more about termination of rights by the parent. So, in the foster care system, most of these children are usually neglected or not wanted by the parents. Although foster care does want to reunite the family, sometimes the situation does not work out, leading to adoption. So, legally, the parent has to give up their rights to their child, meaning that they have no connection to the child anymore. And if you want to fully adopt a child in foster care that has had their rights terminated with their parents, that means you have that child. You have adopted that child like any other child to adopt. But in the foster care system, you also can do foster to adopt, but also just fostering. So that is talking about working with the actual birth parent and you be the foster parent so you can have a home, have a place for the child to live in when their family is reunifying and getting better overall.
And that's a very important point too, because the main goal of foster care is for that reunification. And it is hard because families do create that connection with the child, but it's also important that we are working on what's best for the child and the birth parent, but sometimes, as you said, that's not the case, and that's when an adoption does occur.
Yes.
Another really important point that needs to be brought up is the age of adoption. A lot of people, they tend to want to adopt infants, but the reality is a lot of the foster care children are just like 8 years old. So what can we kind of do to promote that adoption doesn't always have to start at the infancy age?
So any child in the foster care system deserves a family and deserves a home overall. So I think it's important not to just look at the younger infants, but also the teens and the people who and the kids who are able to be aged out, because they will go into adulthood without even having a family or a support system. So I think it's very important, if you have a home to open up to foster a child, don't just think of an infant, but think about those 8-year-olds, those 9-year-olds, those teens, because as a teen myself, this is a very important time in their life to figure out who they are. And if you foster them, that means you can make a big impact on who they are and maybe even change their life for the better.
Speaking of older foster care children, emancipation is a huge topic that people are afraid of because 18 is the age, correct? And they're just off to live on their own. What can we do right now or once this quarantine is lifted to help out all of the teens who are about to be emancipated?
For the teens who are about to be emancipated, it's really important to figure out their situations, but not really idealize that they are emancipated from their parents, but they are wanting to become an adult and they want to be free on their own. So we just want to support their journey on that by helping them financially or support them mentally or physically by giving them the supplies they need or just even good pep talks, because they're going through a rough time and it's important just to support them if they need it.
What are some organizations out there that are working directly with the foster care? I know I personally love Wendy's, and the Dave Thomas Foundation for Foster Care and Adoption does a lot of stuff. So we can talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, so the Wendy's Dave Thomas Foundation is one of the examples in the foster care system that is supporters of foster families. So they are specifically not a organization that connects families with the foster care system, but in case of helping with donations to take care of the existing foster care families. So what we do in that situation with the Wendy's Dave Thomas Foundation is actually to buy their products during the adoption month. They give out actually little frosty keys that we can help out. I love those a lot. It tells you that adoption is an option, and it gives funds to adoption organizations such as Adopt US and other things, and even foster families themselves too.
Yes, and going back to the Wendy's Frosty Key, everyone, you should get it because chocolate Frosties are definitely my guilty pleasure, and you get a free Frosty for an entire year. Okay, now let's talk about the requirements to be an adoptive parent. People think you have to have a male and a female. They have to be married, they have to be 100% getting along, but obviously that's not the case. There are a lot of single parent foster parents. There's no definite definition of what a foster care parent is.
No, that's not true at all, because a foster parent is just someone who will give the love and attention that this foster child needs. So it doesn't matter if you're have any sexual preferences or anything like that, because if you can take care of this child, that's all that matters, because the child does come first.
And how old is too old to be a foster parent?
There actually is no age, because I recently worked with a woman in the foster care system who makes birthday gifts to the foster care children, and she is actually around her 60s and 70s. So you cannot be too old, as long as you still can take care of this child and definitely give your full attention to this child, because some people do take the foster care system as a job, because it's not about the money, but actually just taking care of the child. So it's really important to know that.
And we kind of covered it throughout this entire video, but just to make it very clear and concise, for people who don't have a home to open up to children or they can't foster in any sort of form, what can they do to help?
So one of the biggest organizations that I've heard of is called Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. They actually host a mentoring program for all children through this program because you work with the children and become a mentor to younger kids and leave them with activities or just things to talk to them. So it's really important just to give them a good system or support system and a place to fall back on, people to talk to and all that things. We can also do donation drives, like I said before. So talk to your local representative or go to your DFACS website if you have one and ask around what they actually need. Usually it's toiletries or materials, clothing, bags. Totes is actually a big thing. So I've worked with Totes to Tots, and it helps bring backpacks to foster care children as they are moved from house to house. So that's important to look on donation drives. And also, again, I can say that this live stream and this thing that we have right here is actually helping out because we definitely need to talk about foster care because it just spreads awareness overall.
Yes, education is key. And if you guys are interested in looking up hashtags, one of my favorite ones that I learned a lot is hashtag donate your small talk. And they're just a bunch of videos with small statistics, but the reality is one of the biggest ways to spread awareness is just donate your small talk. You know, have conversations at the dinner table or just talk about it to a neighbor whenever you pass them by, because there's a lot of statistics a lot of people don't know. So I highly recommend that hashtag.
Yeah, in addition to that, there's actually a lot of movies out there about the foster care system. So there recently has been a documentary, I think on HBO, about the foster care system and adopted parents. So you can look that up. And also one of my favorite movies is a movie that came out pretty recently, Instant Family. It's a great movie. It talks about the foster care system and really debunks all those myths that we've heard about. And it just talks about the true meaning of family, and it's a great movie to take in this time during quarantine to watch with your family and even have a discussion after.
It's so funny too. I think,
Yeah.
who is it? Mike Wahlberg, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love him. So funny.
Yeah.
And to all my Amazon Prime Video people, it is free. And I know you guys are all binge watching movies, series, so I think you should squeeze this one in when you have the time.
Definitely.
Once you're a foster parent, you're in a very fun process. It's a fun journey. But a lot of people think I'm not going to get enough help. No one's going to give me assistance. I'm kind of in it on my own.
Yes, that's not true at all because the foster care system is a large, big community. So, talking with your other foster care parents, they're definitely out there to help you out because this is not a process for only one person to work with. Because I know in my area, there's a lot of foster care parent meetings. So, with that, a lot of them come together, talk about their own issues, talk about what they need help with, and usually there's a lot of organizations and nonprofits to help you out.
Yes, and you can see that in the Instant Family movie. Those support groups are very helpful, but in the movie it's quite entertaining to watch. But you are a title holder in the Miss America's Outstanding Teen organization. And in this organization, we all have our personal platforms. And yours was?
Mine was Foster for Love, Adopt for Life. So, based upon my international adoption, I talked about foster care because that's an important issue in the US as the number is growing up to 400,000 kids in the United States. I was Miss Historic Beaufort's Outstanding Teen of 2018 to 2019. However, I am not competing this year because I have taken the option to take a year break because it is my junior year, and also I want to focus more on the foster care system. Talking about that, I am also the prudential winner of volunteer service in Georgia, a distinguished finalist. So it just shows that it doesn't mean that you have to be a title holder or you don't have to be any certain person in your community to actually make a difference. I think volunteering is very important, and even though that I am not doing the Miss America program, I fully support it because it makes these women into amazing people, and I think it's a great way for them to show who they really are.
Love your work. I 100% applaud everything you do because you do it even without the crown. So would you like to kind of elaborate on all of the projects you have done? Because you've definitely done a lot.
Yes, I've done a lot of social awareness projects, donation drives, and other things as well, working with the kids. So recently, I have done something called Princess for a Day. So although I don't have the crown as Miss Historic Beaufort's Outstanding Teen, I was able to dress up as a princess and a ballerina to work with little kids to give them a day for them to be princesses. So those are hands-on events that we can actually, as a community, involve ourselves with to help the foster care system. But along with that, I've also done, this is my second year of being with Clark Howard's Christmas Kids, which is a donation drive in Georgia with Clark Howard that we give Christmas presents to foster kids because they write out a list and we go to Walmart, buy those gifts, and put them in a place for them to have it. And addition with that, I've also done social awareness. So tag my Instagram in there, Foster for Love, Adopt for Life, and I post about my social media projects and also social awareness about the foster care system.
Absolutely. Yes, everyone go give her a follow. I'll drop it right here. Now's your chance to use the hashtag.
Yes,
I have no idea if this is going to work.
it's good.
Well, thank you, Destiny, so much. I think we got a lot of information, and I hope that helps you guys who are watching at home or wherever. Be sure to share this video. And do you have any final words?
Well, thank you for having me. Definitely follow your journey, follow everything you're doing because everyone's journey is different. And definitely support the foster care system and know that foster care is an adoption option. So it's important to talk about it, donate your small talk, and all those little hashtags. Try to fit them all in there. And thank you overall for having me.